All right, we're live with Dr. Jane Ruby on the American Priority Channel. Hello, Dr. Jane. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Alex, thanks for having me tonight.
Well, I'm here at home tonight, and we are going to talk a little bit about what's going on. But first, that's that intro music that you guys just heard. That is the Dr. Jane Ruby show that's going to be coming back soon to a channel near you. So keep an eye out for Dr. Jane's Twitter, and you will be able to see Dr. Jane talking about stuff and interviewing people and learning about what's going on in Dr. Jane's DC.
Yeah. I don't know if the folks that you have on are familiar, but for about 6 months, we ran a show with the great Tom Shadowley as my engineer and producer called Dr. Jane's DC. And we interviewed a lot of exciting people, a lot of people in the know in DC. And so we're putting it together on a bigger and better network. And we'll have more information on that coming forward. But it was great fun. So I'm going to be. I also have I want your viewers to know I'm also have your Periscope up and running, and a little bit later, you can let them know when you're ready if they have questions, and they put them into the Periscope chat. I will be happy to take some questions later.
Super. Well, so Jane, we were in Hollywood, California not too long ago, and that was for the premiere of the movie Hoax that you and I are both associate producers on.
Yeah, it was great fun. We should tell everybody that we didn't waste any time while we were out there. We actually spent the day at Politicon, and we had a lot of fun. We ran into a lot of people. I would say it's a bipartisan convention of politics and political views, and we saw some interesting extreme folks like Michael Avenatti, and we were with Laura Loomer, of course, who Loomered a bunch of people, including Avenatti and Alyssa Milano, much deserved. And it was great fun. And we got to hang out with Ann Coulter a little bit. She did a special panel with Ben Shapiro. No, not, I'm sorry, Ben Stein. Apologies. Yeah. But it was great. It was a lot of laughs and a lot of information. And, we tried to puncture that giant baby Trump thing because we thought it was disrespectful to our president, but we didn't want to get hauled off to jail. And then we went to the premiere that night. You're right. We went to the Hoax premiere. I don't know if folks know, but we have the opportunity to bring the Hoax movie in a DC screening for the first time. And we're going to incorporate it into your conference, American Priority. So folks should go to Eventbrite and look up Hoax movie screening, which will be on Thursday, December 6th. And Alex and I are planning a great party, after party. So it's going to be a wonderful night. And we're hoping that Mike Cernovich can join us. He's expecting his second child, he and his wife, shortly after December. So it's a little touch and go, but we're hoping that he'll join us. It'll be really exciting. But if not, we have some people from the movie who are in the movie and also associated with it that are pretty exciting. We don't want to say yet who some of the names are. You will recognize them, but it will be worth your while. And it's a great movie. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the movie, your thoughts on the movie.
Well, I was pretty surprised about the movie myself because, documentaries notoriously are not that exciting. They're not action films, they're not dramas, but this particular one really takes you through a story, and it starts off in a place, and I've said this many times to people, it starts off in a place that you probably wouldn't have expected Mike to start the movie, and you're probably thinking when you watch it, oh my God, did he really start there? But he really nailed it. His directors, and Mike as the producer, really, I think, pulled off a phenomenal movie that everyone's going to enjoy to start with. Plus, they're going to learn a lot about what's going on in the media today that probably didn't know about.
Well, I think what people are going to be surprised at with this movie, it's called Hoax, and the subtitle is The Media's War on Truth, is that it's really all sides. It's not just a slam on the left-wing media. It actually exposes a lot about how media is used to create narrative and convince people um, to think in a certain way and how dangerous that can be. And it actually pinpoints both the left and the right in terms of historical, propensity to do that. So I think people will like that. I mean, one of the things I don't mind, sharing, I don't think it's a spoiler, is that there is an interview in this movie with one of the leaders of Black Lives Matters, and it's really interesting and very compelling for both people, left leaning and right leaning. So I think it's pretty interesting, and it's got a great punch of an ending with a very dramatic allegory, reference to Plato's, the cave allegory, but it's really profoundly done. It's visually beautiful. So all in all, I think it'll be fun, and I'm looking forward to it as part of the conference.
I'm excited about it because it's at the beginning of the kicking off of the American Priority Conference. And if you want to find out more about American Priority Conference, you can go to AmericanPriority.com. Want to see people to come to this conference to learn about what's going on in citizen journalism, what's going on in the world. We're going to have a lot of speakers that talk about stuff. But the focus of this conference is really centered around information and citizen journalism, and how citizen journalists are providing us content and news and information today in a way that has never been seen before in the past. In the past, you always relied on your local news channel to provide you local news and the national news to provide you national news. If you had cable, you had cable news. And so what we've seen over the past literally 100 years, and most recently in the past 50 years, is that the media has been taken over by the liberals, and so the liberal agenda has been inflicted on us in the form of a narrative. And everything is now about what's the narrative, what is the story we're telling, because we have to entertain people as opposed to inform them. I think we need to come back to informing people and not just entertaining people.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people agree with you on this. I think the president would agree with you on that point. But what I like about the conference that you've put together is that you're really setting it up to be open for a lot of different viewpoints. Controversial. It's not just an echo chamber for the Republicans or the right or anything like that. I would say that is a big attraction. And in fact, I'll share an experience I had today that I shared with you just little while ago, Alex, and with your viewers. And that is that I was contacted by an acquaintance today who looked over the agenda of the American Priority Conference and declared that, and she's on the conservative side, declared that she wasn't going to attend because there were a couple of topics that offended her. And that now they weren't obscene or anything like that. They just, in principle, offended her. And my response was, are we going to be like the left and, and restrict free speech? And I think what your vision for this conference has always been at the very foundation was that, there's room for all kinds of different opinions and discussion about those different opinions. So I'm looking forward to that at the conference. I tried to encourage her to rethink that and not be concerned that having someone there to discuss an idea that was maybe not to her liking, maybe she could join and sit on a panel and give the other side of it. That's really what you're going after, I think, in this conference.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. So, the idea is that there's a lot of people that are in the conservative movement, the Make America Great Again movement, that don't always agree on every issue. And that's one of the good things about, I think, people on our side as far as the people that support President Trump. We don't always have to agree, but I think that we're starting to see a lot of tribalism. I think Tim Pool talks about that in some of his broadcasts, and he talks about that in some of his Twitters. And I look at it in a different way. I see Trump supporters. I think I'm taking a page out of a movie. I see Trump supporters, but I see Trump supporters in various different organizations that don't seem to get along with each other. And I think the bottom line is that what's good for America. So I even can see commonalities between people that are even on the left to some degree. I tell people this story about the night of the Deplorable, which was the night before the inauguration. The place was a hotbed of polarizing discussion and protests. And afterwards, the Deplorable was over. Some of us went across the street to the local bar. We wanted to keep celebrating, the great victory we had. But there were people there that were wearing "Not My President" T-shirts, and they were preparing for their pink hat protest the next night. The pink, little hats with the ears on them. And I thought to myself, well, I can go hang out with people that I agree with, that agree with me, and we can have the same conversation we had across the street, or I can go over there and hang out with these people and see what happens. So I took a chance and I went and talked with these people. Now, the first thing out of my mouth was, obviously we disagree politically, because I was wearing my black suit with my red tie and all my little bling, being the conservative Republican that just won the election. And she was wearing the "Not My President" T-shirt, and her group was obviously, liberal. So we said, how about we just talk about things we have in common? And so we found like at least 10 things that we had in common. So I think that it's important to have diverse discussions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I thought that's where you were going with that, and I think you do live up to that. We recently were at a Young Democrats meeting, and I was with Laura Loomer, specifically to Loomer Tim Kaine in his race against Corey Stewart here in Virginia. And you ended up interviewing, which I thought was very admirable, a lot of people on the left, a lot of young Democrats, and you got some interesting insights and feedback on that. And to the point of the election, we're watching a lot of crazy stuff happen. I personally was involved in this election cycle. Didn't advertise this during the election, but I can say now that I was an advisor on Corey Stewart's team with regard to social media to help him in his quest for the U.S. Senate. And when you think about it, he brought in 1.2, maybe a little bit more, million votes, and that was more than the president brought in during the 2016 election. So Virginia was trying to become more red. Kaine brought in 1.4 to 1.5, and I just, even though that's a huge spread, it just says a lot about where Virginians were trying to go. And I just wonder how much the Democrats have Virginia locked up, and we're watching this whole Stop the Steal movement. I'm sure you're going to be addressing election fraud at the conference. There are going to be discussions and ideas on it. I know, I wanted to give a shout out to Laura Loomer, who has done a tremendous job in the last, since the primaries, dogging socialist, communist, Soros-backed candidates like Keith Ellison, like Stacey Abrams, like Andrew Gillum in Florida, and all these races that are supposedly so close. And the numbers don't even make sense. I've been tweeting about that too. So anyway, someone said you can't talk about the news without talking about Laura. Of course not. Laura is on her way. I've said for a long time, she's a rising star. She will bust through the MSM, and we'll all be able to talk about it and remember the good old days when, she was shut out of all kinds of things. Laura, in fact, was suspended from Twitter a week before the midterms so that she could not speak, which was terrible. And that's another whole issue. I know you're going to address censorship at the conference big time. And I'm looking forward to that. I think people are going to learn a lot about the internet and internet censorship from your guests, as well as I know, you have that expertise, Alex. So there's a lot of work to do. Sebastian Gorka has said very aptly that President Trump is just one man. We got him through like a big ship, but he's going to need us. He's going to need a lot of this, all factions of this movement. So anyway, questions. I see that a bit of the internet stream sometimes goes a little bit in or out. I'm coming to you guys live from DC, and there are all kinds of crazy things that fly by my window. And there's a lot of interception. There are a lot of military aircraft around, and so we might, if we get a little disconnected, or if people see, on the Periscope, that's probably why. It's probably on my end. But anyway, did you ask me a question, Alex? Because I think we had a little bit.
No. You drifted away there into the ether, and I was just waiting for you to come back. But no, I think you're right about Laura Loomer. She's doing a great job out there making things happen for the basically our side, so to speak, the conservative movement. I think she takes a lot of heat from folks for some of her actions and the way her methods, but she's very effective. She gets in your face and she gets questions asked that nobody wants to ask. She basically, when she humored people at Politicon, she made things happen. I mean, that's you can't fault her for that.
Yeah, and by the way, just so that everybody knows, her lumering or lumered is now a verb. And it really is defined as Laura having the guts to call out a corrupt official, public official, for their, their despicable actions. And so it's just remarkable what she's done and what she's uncovered. And I think things change because of it, but she doesn't always get the credit, and she certainly doesn't get the credit among the mainstream media. I'm really disappointed in people and I'm going to come out and say it, like Laura Ingraham, like Sean Hannity, like Tucker Carlson. They all know she exists. They know her. Some of them have her and she has them on speed dial, and they know it's just a matter of time. But they're so beholden to the those that are, that own the mainstream media, that right now, they don't feature her, and they should.
Well, we're seeing a couple of questions on Periscope. So yeah, they were talking about how Twitter has too much power. And that is a fact. One of the topics of discussion at the American Party Conference we're going to talk about is called the Internet Bill of Rights, because more and more today, life is lived on the internet. Now, obviously, we're not living in cyberspace physically, but we communicate, we purchase, we buy, we sell, we have businesses that run on the internet, and the laws that protect us in the physical world don't seem to be carrying forward that well into this cyber world. And so the Internet Bill of Rights is something that we need to really start thinking about, and I have some people that are going to be coming to talk about that, because this is something that we're going to be dealing with for the next indefinite period. So we got to get it right.
Now, is the Internet Bill of Rights something that is really a bill in Congress, or can you tell us a little bit more about that?
No, at this point in time, it is just a concept, and ironically, it's being pushed by a company called AT&T, and they were the ones that pushed us into net neutrality. And net neutrality was not what it sounded like. It had a nice sounding name, but it was actually in the background a lot different, and this was all as part of the Obama administration's plan to censor us in ways that we've never been censored in the past. So we need to fix this problem so that people can have platforms and they can start a business and they can speak their mind. But I think that people are going to have to come to the conclusion or come to the understanding that freedom of speech is a very powerful thing that's granted to us by the Constitution. Again, another powerful document. And the responsibility that comes with that is something that we all have to remember. The old adage that you don't go into a movie theater and yell fire. Well, you have the freedom of speech to say whatever you want, but that's very irresponsible and you could cause people harm. So, people need to be responsible with their freedom of speech, but they should not be infringed to speak freely. So if someone wants to talk about a topic that is interesting to a lot of people and they want to see this topic, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, they should be allowed to do that. But people who don't like that should be allowed to not watch it, but don't want to be encumbered by being forced to watch it. So I think that these things can be worked out. There's no reason to stop speech, freedom of speech. Even the so-called hate speech is something that people need to realize that you can't call somebody hate speech because you don't agree with them.
Well, sure. I mean, this is the next era that we're getting into. I see some of the comments, and by the way, if we could remind people, if you have questions for me or Alex, either about the conference or any of the topics that we've discussed on Twitter, please feel free to type them in. We're watching your comments and questions, and if there are questions, we'd love to answer them and talk about them. But someone just made the comment on net neutrality and why is this coming from AT&T? They're one of the companies that has controlled a lot of this. They're a big conglomerate. So, why are they leading the march? A lot of times when a big company leads it, it's because they want to control it
Oh,
before it gets
yes.
to the hands of the people.
When you ask the government to regulate something, it is a Pandora's box. You never know what's going to happen. They probably will do a bad job about it, and there's like thousands and thousands of attorneys that work for these telecom companies, and they're all playing the long game. And so if you follow the money starts at the politician. The politicians get elected. The politicians select the regulators, and the regulators then regulate the companies. So you can kind of follow the money and see how it goes. When it comes to net neutrality, the selling point, the marketing point was to protect the public from the bad internet service providers who want to stop them from something. And so what ended up happening was internet was regulated, but the content providers were not regulated. And a content provider, or what they call in a technical term an edge provider, is what you would call a company like YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. Those are edge providers, and so they were not regulated at all. So they had all the control. But then on the other hand, the FCC is divided up into sort of two factions. The faction that regulates people and determines what is and what is not broadband, and then the other hand is the arm that provides funding to these companies. So if you look in your phone bill, and some of us that have voice over IP may not see that, but there's a thing called Universal Service Funds, and so that money goes into a pool, and the Federal Communications Commission allocates that money to who they feel deem fit to receive this money. So on one side, the FCC will determine with net neutrality who is a provider and qualifies to be a broadband provider, and on the other side of their hand, they will fund only those that qualify. So ergo, limiting the number of service providers that can provide services. So, yeah.
It sounds very complex, and I don't
Yeah,
even think
it
people
is.
really appreciate the half of it, which is why most of us glaze over when you describe it, because you're a genius in that area.
Everybody glazes.
Well, because it is so layered and so complex, and you live it day by day, and you're an expert in it. It's hard for people to keep up. It's just craziness, and where do we even begin to unravel it and untie it? But I just think what we're dealing with now is just the silencing of conservatives and and anyone, no matter what side of the political aisle they're on, the silencing of anyone who doesn't agree with the mainstream media, and it's a problem, and I think the president is going to deal with it, possibly in his second term, but I'm not really sure. But anyway, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the conference. I don't know how much people know about it. I know sometimes we get new people on your show and on the Periscope, but for the most part, I'm excited because it's going to be a lot of different viewpoints. There are going to be workshops. There are going to be a fair amount of famous people, but you're also giving a lot of voice to people who are up and coming, who are just learning, to be citizen journalists. And let's not underestimate, citizen journalism. I was looking for one of my books, which is nearby.
The new media.
A Sea of New Media, which I wrote. And I do want to plug it a little bit because I don't see a lot of books lately. It's all about, President Trump and the deep state and all that. And that's great. We need that. But I'm not putting those down. But I don't see too many books that focused on what I did. And in my book, I wrote about how the whole movement began with citizen journalism. The average person like you or me, we carry this very powerful tool around, in our pockets and purses all day long. This is a truth teller. Andrew Breitbart, told a bunch of Tea Partiers on the National Mall one night to hold up your cell phones. Thousands of people held up their cell phones. And he said, there you go. Now you have a sea of new media to capture the lies. The MSM, the mainstream media cannot lie to us anymore. If you're at an event, you can live stream it using Periscope or Facebook or whatever. So it's really important. Oh, thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, I brought it up on Amazon.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's what the book looks like. And I replicated, I thought that was a very moving moment when he said to them, you don't have to depend on them. But unfortunately, we do depend on these social media platforms, and they are owned and run by the left. And so we see situations where even the president gets censored on Twitter. It's so audacious. We see things like Laura Loomer getting suspended. So in my book, I talk about a lot of these people, a lot of the people that are really famous in the movement now, in social media, that created a stir, that made a difference, because they went out, like Mike Cernovich, who went to the DNC and the RNCs, during the election, the presidential election, and really, instead of relying on the mainstream media, people were able to see his live scopes of what was really going on there, and really gave, you know, uh, gave a name and a face to Antifa that was out there, trying to, exert all this violence on Trump supporters, and now anyone who works in the administration. So that's really, that's really the gist of the book. And one of the highlights of the book, and it really is one of the best illustrations, is the guy. He's got a very unusual Eastern European name, which I never pronounced correctly, but it is in the book. He's the gentleman who happened to be standing by on 9/11 2016 when Hillary Clinton was dragged into her van. And we would never have known Hillary was sick if he hadn't captured that moment. That would have been a lie told us that she was fine. So it's people like that with their cell phones. They're the new media. When I say new media, it's all of us. It's you, Alex. It's me. It's everybody. It's Laura Loomer. It's anybody. It's the everyday person who captures a moment in real time, and the media can't overcome that. You can't lie about that.
So
it's exciting.
Mike Cernovich talked a little bit about that. And so he came to the conclusion one day, and I think this is a brilliant analysis, that he thought he had a bunch of followers on his Facebook or his Twitter, and in reality what he had was sources, and that's what citizen journalism is all about. We all are sources for it, because now we've got access to some incredible technology. These cell phones, these smartphones, these networks that are out there that give us access to to do stupid things like play Candy Crush while we're bored, also can start broadcasting live. And when you and I had come back from Hollywood after the Politicon and the Hoax premiere, Laura Loomer stayed. She had other business. You were going one place, I was coming home. And so I get up on my computer one day, I'm going to do messing around with something, and all of a sudden a Periscope comes in, and it's Laura Loomer. She went to go to the beauty parlor to get her hair blown out, right? And boom, the police showed up, and the police tape comes up, and all of a sudden there's a hostage situation going on right there where she was. I mean, give me a break. How does that happen? She was the only reporter broadcasting live from her cell phone during a hostage situation in Tarzana, California.
Well, these things happen every day. And the fact that she's a trained citizen journalist was fortuitous, because she was able to capture as much of it. But anybody could have done that. I'm not minimizing what Laura does. Laura has a whole other set of specialties. As long as we're talking about her, for those people who don't know, Laura is a former Project Veritas operative. That's where she got her start with James O'Keefe, one of the best, of course. So she's very skilled and very talented. I don't suggest that the average person without some experience and education could do what Laura does. But overall, what Laura's doing and what she's modeling is being in a situation, or being in public when a situation breaks out like you just described, and then taking the opportunity. I'll give another example. I was walking through Arlington, Virginia on election day, and there were Democratic people, volunteers in the streets, and they were shoving a, quote, sample ballot. I took my phone and I videotaped them, because they're in public. There's no expectation of privacy. And I said to them, "You're too close to the election door. You're violating election rules. You're handing out a sample ballot, but it was already scratched out with all the Democratic candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And and I was able to capture that, and it made a difference to some people. But if we can capture what's really happening, then people can't lie about it later on and say that it wasn't what we said it was. That's the
Exactly.
benefit.
And now,
Yeah.
now there's a network of people with cameras larger than any uh, conventional broadcast network today. And these people they want to be part of it. They want to provide information, and they want to help educate the public. So that's coming back to again one of the focuses of American Priority. So I'm going to pull up the American Priority website now,
Yeah.
and
Aren't you having, I know you're having, thank you guys. Somebody said, thank you. We need more like you and Laura. I really appreciate that. I've learned a lot from Laura. I was going to say about the conference, you're going to have an entire workshop with Laura, actually,
yeah.
on citizen journalism. So for those of you who like Laura's work, would like to, meet her, talk to her, this is going to be one of the, I think, very special panels, or it's a workshop. And she might even be in a panel as well, but she's going to actually talk in a little bit of a workshop to answer questions and make suggestions on how you too can maybe not do the kind of aggressive, we call it guerrilla journalism, that she does, but maybe do some of the, just scoping and, videotaping when you see things out in public that are interesting, or something it should be reported. It's always good. And who knows, you might even make money if you capture something really incredible that the mainstream media didn't capture, because there are a lot of news outlets, both online and locally, that will pay money for your videos of capture, especially if you're capturing something really unique.
Right. We're going to have a panel on Friday of the conference that you're going to moderate, Jane, of citizen journalism. And so that's going to basically be just an opportunity for a couple of different types of citizen journalism. Basically, people that do their journalism differently. They're going to talk about it. But then on Saturday, we're going to have a couple of breakout sessions where we're going to actually give them an hour. So people can go in there and they can ask, Laura or Matt Couch or Tom Chatelet, various types of questions. So Tom is going to focus on things like the left can't meme, and talk about mimetic warfare and mimetic engineering, which is actually a real thing. I'm not making up words. Look it up. But he's also going to spend some time on some of the technology too. So obviously, I'm broadcasting right now. I'm using some technology. I'm not just using my phone. I've pulled some people, Jane onto this Periscope with me, and I've got graphics and I've got text. So there's all kinds of ways to do that. You can go low end all the way to the high end. Laura's going to talk about some of her tricks to the trade. You can ask her questions about some of the cases she's been working on. Same with Matt Couch. All three of these are different types of journalism that
Yeah.
might fit your lifestyle.
Yeah, Alex, somebody asked a really good question, actually a couple of good questions in the same comment. How long do you anticipate each workshop to be?
Well, it's a breakout session. Yeah, it's going to be about an hour.
Okay, and are they only on Saturday, or are they going to be sprinkled across Friday and Saturday?
Right now, we're focusing the breakouts on Saturday, but we won't have the agenda really worked out fully until 10 days before the conference. So, keep an eye out. We're trying to do the best we can to give everybody an opportunity to do all the panels and all the breakouts, so you're not choosing one versus the other. But also keep in mind that, one of the things about this conference that I think is going to be different, in my opinion, than maybe some of the other conferences that I've been to, or actually in some cases same as some conferences that I've been to, is the offline time. We're not at the speakers, we're not in the breakouts, we're offline, and you're now having some private one-on-one with some of the speakers or other VIPs that are at the conference, asking some questions and getting in. Maybe it could be at one of the social events, or it could be social event that we have, or a social gathering of people just getting together at one of the bars at the hotel, or walking around the corner to the local pub. All these things are possible when you come to the conference.
Are the drinks on you, Alex?
Well, depending on the event, I think if you come to the Hoax movie event and get the VIP ticket, the after party ticket, yeah, there'll be some drinks included in that, some food included in that. It's obviously not a college party where all the booze is free, but we're trying to do the best we can to have everybody have a good time. We're going to have some social events on. Beg your pardon?
If anybody knows of a sponsor, if you have a business, you're associated with a business, why
Yeah.
not? We'll make a pitch, because if somebody wants to sponsor the after party, we can blow it up a little bit bigger. And you have other sponsorship opportunities that people find out more on the website americanpriority.com about sponsorship opportunities for other
Yes.
other aspects of the conference. They might want to be a part of it, and what would they get for that? And somebody's asking about video access, but for sponsorship opportunities, how do they find out about that?
We have a link on our website. If you go to the AmericanPriority.com website, there's a sponsorship opportunity link, and there's various types of sponsorships that we have available. So just go ahead if you're not sure what you want or what you're interested in doing, or if you want to do something that's not listed, because we're always open to suggestions. Just go to the contact section and send us an email, and we'll start a dialogue.
Yeah, and I think people should know that it's your intention, and the intention of a lot of people involved in organizing this conference, that this is not just a one-off, that this is really history making, and that this is the founding meeting, and that this is going to grow like CPAC growed and like other conferences grow. So that's what makes it exciting to me. And also, somebody asked about whether there would be video access. Could you say a few words about the media being there and how people can watch it if they're far away and can't get into DC for this?
Well, we've had a lot of calls from various media outlets who want to come to this event and report on it. We're going to try to do some live streams. Obviously, we're not going to live stream the entire conference, but we're going to try to live stream some things that can give some external access for folks that can't come, so they can at least see what's going on and maybe get an idea of what they want to do next time. But this inaugural conference is important for a couple of different reasons. We're taking our stab at what this conference should look like, but this conference will change. We're going to make mistakes. We're not going to do something right, but we want people to come to give us input. And so people may have input now. We've been getting some comments from people who are not happy, obviously, with some of the content. But you're going to have to put those things aside. What I want to know is, what do you want? Don't tell me what you don't want, because I don't want to hear that. I know what you don't want. I know that there's diversity within our own movement. I'm trying to bring people in so that we can try to accommodate many points of view. Even some of my speakers are not necessarily, what we can call, conventional right-wing people, or, on the right or conservative. We've got folks that I just found out, in fact, today, that Brendan Straka is coming, and he voted for Hillary Clinton, right? But he's also...
He's the founder of the Walkaway.
He's the founder of the Walkaway movement, and he's come to realize that, yes, it's okay to be a Democrat and have some views, but let's not just obstruct. Let's not just try to stop programs just because we hate Donald Trump. That's got to stop. Let's have dialogues.
Hey, Alex, somebody is asking another very good question. What are appropriate start and stop times for the conference each day? Like what times does it start on Friday and Saturday, and what time do you anticipate it ending?
The conference registration will open up about midday on Thursday, and then it'll go until the after party will go until probably about midnight after the movie. Then we're going to start up pretty much bright and early around 9 o'clock on Friday. We're going to have some continental breakfast, and get people started with their coffee and their carbs. That's what everybody needs: coffee and carbs to get the morning going. And then we're going to have.
You have a table of protein.
We'll see what we can do. But
Dr. Jane's got to shed a couple of pounds, so we need the paleo back.
All right.
paleo to the conference.
But then, we're going to have lunch and then we're going to go until around 6 o'clock. And then we're going to start looking into some social activities. We'll have a pianist on Friday that's going to play us some nice, good, easy jazz listening music while we kind of ease into a book signing. And then move right into a rock and roll party event called the Fire and Ice event. Fire and Ice party.
That sounds fun. Am I invited?
Oh yeah, yeah. All the VIPs are going to be there. So if
Looking forward to
if you want to dance with Jane out on the dance floor, you need to come to the party.
Do you know that I'm a former disco dance champion?
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never let that out publicly, but tonight I'm going to give Alex a gift on a hot mic. Going to make Alex a hot mic. Dr. Jane was once Lady Jane in the old disco era. And I actually won my share of contests too. So when you listen to Studio 54 on Sirius Radio, that was, I hate to date myself, but that was my era. But I was on the tail end of it. I was one of the younger.
Well, I love to dance, and so we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a live, we have a two-man band that plays live music, rock and roll, American-type music. We'll take requests from the audience, but a good friend of mine that will be playing music for us. But I'm looking for, and then we're going to have, the next day we'll go into breakouts, and we're going to have a VIP brunch for some of our VIP event ticket holders. But it's gonna be a fun weekend, and yes, this is gonna be a regular thing. So long-term plans. We're gonna keep it in DC once a year. We're also looking at Vegas once a year. So that's 2 conferences a year.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. I think people will find. I want to encourage people to go to your website, American Priority. Is it AmericanPriority.com, right?
.com, yes.
Because there's a ton of information in there, and it will explain, I think, it'll explain how you can get different levels of tickets and so you can plan ahead. It's coming up really fast in the next few weeks, right after, like a week or 2 after Thanksgiving. So it's nicely tucked in there between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's not too close to either one. So take a look at the website and really, and sign up, because we'd love to see you there. Everybody, will make this a success. I'm looking forward to it. I really want to thank you, Alex, for bringing your vision, to fruition. Somebody wants to know if Milk and Cooks is coming. That's Cernovich's group, his friends that have played at A Night for Freedom a couple times. And have you had any communication with Milk and Cooks?
Actually, I talked with Milk and Cooks today, and I will be talking with them tomorrow. So all I can say is, keep in touch, keep on the website. Something may be happening in the next couple of days.
Oh, they're fantastic. We had a lot of fun with them in A Night for Freedom in New York City. They were amazing.
Oh, it was a blast. Mike, let me tell you, one thing Mike knows how to do is throw a fun party.
Oh, he does. But we've been good students, and we're going to replicate a lot of great things as well moving forward. So, Alex, I really want to thank you for having me on tonight. I'm happy to come on again before the conference and talk to folks. If people have questions, shoot me a DM, or please follow me on Twitter at Dr. Jane Ruby on Twitter and Facebook. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at the conference.
Jane, it was great talking to you, and as usual, I'm sure I'll be talking to you again. Share this Periscope out with everyone. Keep an eye out. We're going to be having some more of these as we lead up to the conference with some of our other VIP speakers. Try to give you an idea of what's going on. But share this out, tweet it out, keep track of the website, and I look forward to meeting a whole lot of new people.
Thanks a lot, Alex.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Go to the conference.